Hello there students, welcome back to yet another lecture of interviews. As it is a very important topic, we would go through many of the video lectures talking about interviews. This is your instructor Dhruvi Bhatt, and in the previous lecture we started talking about one of the most important stage in the interview, which is face-to-face interview. I told you that what are different skills that the employers are looking for. Moving forward in our talk about face-to-face interviews, let us try to understand today that what are different factors which are responsible for failure in an interview. Many a times you might be thinking that this interview was not very bad, I faced it, I answered everything correctly. Many times this thing happens in Vivas too. You think that you answered everything correctly, but that particular aspect didn't reflect in your marks. Does this happen to you too? Then you might be looking for these factors which are leading to failure, which are holding you back somewhere. Make sure that you overcome these factors before facing your next interview. The first factor is arrogance. Arrogance stands for overconfidence. Do not show overconfidence to your employers. Do not show your know-it-all attitude. Obviously, no one in this world can know it all, neither you, neither me. Every one of us is in a learning phase. So, make sure that you need to show confidence to your employer, but you do not go out there in front of your employer in the interview room with your head high. Keep yourself subtle, keep yourself confident, yes. Make communication with an eye-to-eye contact, yes. But do not be too overconfident. Do not give that look to the employer that, okay, such a silly question, I am beyond this. Do not. Our next problem is apathy. Do not also show apathy to your interviewer. Apathy means a blank face. Apathy means where you give out a nil expression as if you do not know anything. Many times you would come across a person like, okay, who cares, whatever you are questioning me, I do not care at all. Do not give that who cares attitude. You have come here to face this interview, which means you need this job. Just show that to your interviewer. Show your motivation, show your dedication towards working with their organization. It would go a long way. Thirdly, make sure that you do not show your uninhibited nervousness. This is explicit nervousness. Students, yes, it is obvious to get nervous in your interviews. Basically, if it would be amongst your first of those interviews, just when you are a fresher, being nervous in each and every interview is a very common thing. It happens with me too. Just while recording this lecture, I become nervous many a times. So, nervousness is quite a given. But make sure that you do not showcase your nervousness in front of the interviewer. Make sure that you do not constantly keep biting your nails, or do not constantly keep wiping your forehead out of perspiration. Do not sit there with a dry mouth, silently speaking nothing. Do not fumble in your words. Just keep on telling yourself that it is okay. It is okay whether I pass this interview or not. Make sure that you do not showcase your nervousness to an extent that you will be taken as a very underconfident candidate. Do not be overconfident. Do not be underconfident. Just keep the balance. Moving forward, make sure that you do not showcase equivocation. What is equivocation? Equivocation means beating around the bush. Things we usually do while writing a theoretical exam. We do not know the answer to the question the faculty has asked. Then what you would do? You would write the answer whichever you know, just trying to relate it little bit to the question. Do not follow this technique in your interviews too, because it would lead to your failure. Do not try to answer the question if you do not know the answer. Do not bluff. If at all you do not know the answer, you can ask the interviewer directly that I do not know the answer, but if you allow me, I would like to make a guess. If he allows you, only then try to make a calculated guess. Okay. Also, do not keep on elongating something just to prove your point which doesn't have anything to do with the question. If you didn't hear the question correctly, it would be good practice to ask the interviewer that, okay, is this what you are trying to ask me? Okay, so do not fall for equivocation. Our next problem which you may face during an interview is lack of concentration. Lack of concentration is you physically sitting there in the interview room but mentally wandering somewhere else, as you tend to do in the classrooms. Interviewers would know in a jiffy that you are not paying attention on the questions. Whenever you are answering to the questions, make sure that you make proper eye contact. Try to answer it using proper body language. You make sure that you listen to everything whatever the interviewer is trying to tell. They will get to know very soon if you are not paying attention and you are mentally present somewhere else. Do not look here and there while answering to the questions. Look straight into their eyes. Try to listen each and every question properly before jumping on to the answers. Moving forward, make sure that you portray proper social skills. Your lack of social skills might lead to failure in interviews. What are these social skills? These are the skills which any interviewer is looking for in any of the individuals. How you greet and meet people who are stranger to you. How you enter that interview room. How politely do you behave with the interviewers. It is a good practice to enter the interview room with a smile. Make sure that you shake the hand firmly. Address the interviewer as sir or ma'am. Do not call them by their first names even if you know them from before. Make sure that you follow proper etiquettes while sitting there. If you are offered something to eat or drink, either deny politely, or if you must eat or drink something, do so very subtly, following all the table manners. Moving forward, interviewers are not very much fond of people who lack firmness. Firmness is your dedication, your steadiness towards a particular work. For example, you have mentioned in your objective that you want to be become a very good programmer one day or a project manager, and when asked about what is your goal in 5 years, if you tell that, okay, I see myself as a successful pianist, the objectives do not match, right? You must come across as a very firm, steady, calculated person who is very decisive and who sticks to his or her decision. Only if you can stick with your own decisions in life, you can make decisions for the organization or in your job. Okay, so make sure that you do not lack firmness in your decisions. Moving forward, if your qualitative as well as quantitative skills are inadequate, it may lead to failure. These are the skills which would make sure that you are a proper fit for any organization. If you cannot prove your point properly using qualitative and quantitative tools, then you might not be fit for this organization. Moving forward, your unsuitable personality. Obviously, no one would hire a person with a personality which is fearful or not very good or presentable to all the clients. So, do not walk into their interview room with unsuitable personality. They would be liking a person who is more of positive attitude, whose personality showcases his interest in a particular job. For example, if you are going there for a job of a manager, they would expect you to be dressed properly, to be having good communication skills, to be having good leadership skills, etc. So, your personality for a particular job must be depicted during your interview. Okay students, that was all about the failure points, the points you should keep in mind to avoid failure. But what are the points you should keep in mind to be successful? I here give you some of the tips for your interview preparations of how to crack that dream job. First and foremost, the point here is preparation of resume. Your resume is the first point of contact between you and the interviewer. It must be very well drafted. It is a good practice to draft a different resume for different jobs. Make sure that it showcases all your strengths very properly and subtly. All the academic credentials as well as experiences are showcased therein very properly. All the projects are described very well. Okay. Moving forward, once your resume is good, you must be well aware of your own personal attributes. If you are not aware about yourself, who else would you be aware of? So, you must be very well be aware of your strengths and weaknesses. This is a very common question in any of the HR interview, where they will ask that, can you list me out some of your strengths and weaknesses? This is a question where they want to know that whether you know yourself or not. They will judge you upon this point. You must be aware of where you stand, okay, and how much strengths and weaknesses do you possess for that particular job. So students, answer this very smartly. I am good at communication skills. This strength is very common and it would be given by 50 of the 70 candidates appearing for the interview. It would not lead you anywhere. Instead, give out strengths such as, I am good at blog writing, I am good at finding new customers, etc. Weakness like, I get angry very soon is very common. Instead of that, mention that, okay, I am very die-hard fan of perfection. I have this bad habit of making each and everything perfect. That sounds like a good weakness, right? Make sure that your weaknesses too are portrayed as your strength. Do it smartly. Mock interviews. Before facing the actual interview, it is a very good practice to face a mock interview with someone of your acquaintance, maybe at your home, maybe your teachers, or someone possessing higher knowledge and who has faced the higher interviews than you. Sit in front of them, try to behave as this is an actual interview, indulge into the question answers, and after the mock interview, take the feedback from the interviewer and try to improve upon the points which you are lacking. This would give you a very good practice and it would make sure that you are ready for the day and you will not miss that dream job. Moving forward, know your prospective employee. This is a very must-do point. Okay, make sure that you get some information about the employer before going out there. Many employers do ask you, do you know what exactly our company expertises in? Have you done any research in our organization? You must be knowing everything about the organization before you get there. Who are the competitors? What are different products and services the organization provided? Obviously, what is the year in which the organization was established? What are different types of employees? What are different roles and responsibilities present there? Anything and everything. If the organization has a website, you must be knowing the entire website dot to dot. Everything which has been mentioned in the past few days in the newspapers or magazines about that organization must be known to you. If it is a public organization, then what are the share prices? It must be known to you. Make sure that you know the employer before setting your foot in the interview room. Moving forward, you must be aware about your job description. Do not go out there and ask about, okay, what exactly is this job for which I have applied for? You cannot be such naive. You must be aware about the entire job description, what will be your roles and responsibilities there, who would you report to, everything must be known to you. If you are not getting a clear idea about that, you can Google out the stuff of a particular job position and you must be aware of the job description. Also, you must be aware about the subject fundamentals. You would not be asked in-depth questions obviously, but basic questions about the particular subject you are interviewing for can be asked. For example, if you are appearing for a Java interview, basic computer fundamentals can be asked to you, like what is a function, what is an array. You must be aware about that. You might not be aware about the latest frameworks, but you must be aware about the basic subject fundamentals of your entire engineering if you are appearing for any job related to engineering. That is the first basic point. Moving forward, make sure that you possess example corroborating skills. What are these skills? You must be having some examples ready for each of the positive points or strengths you have mentioned in your resume or you are mentioning to the interviewer. You must be able to explain your leadership quality or any of the qualities that interviewers are looking for. You must be having past examples related to that quality, and you must be able to narrate them very nicely. Why so? Because it is easier to understand from examples. You too understand easily when you are taught with an example, isn't it? It would be easier for the interviewer to get your point, to know your personality, to know your attitude. If you showcase or if you give him some of the examples from your past behavior. For detailing the example, use the STAR approach. What is the STAR approach? Firstly, mention the situation, task, action, and what result your action did. Obviously, you must be the person who is doing the action here. Moving forward, make sure that you go out there with appropriate dressing, not with your shabby clothes. Make sure that your clothes are well pressed. You go out there with proper personality. Okay. Do not forget to question the employer. Obviously, you have done much of a research, so don't go for silly questions. You must be very well in your research. Instead, go for some intellectual questions. So, which position did you start from when you joined the organization? This might be an intellectual question. Or you can ask him the questions like, can I meet any of the employees who have joined before 5 years? I would like to know his or her progress. This would be some good questions. Leave some good questions for the interviewer. Memorize your resume. Okay. Think about the face you would have if you do not know one of the projects mentioned in your resume. A very guilty one, right? Make sure, students, you know your resume by heart. Each and everything mentioned in there should be there in your mind. Each and everything must have some supporting ideas, some supporting examples, so that you can explain it in a better format. God forbid, do not forget anything, do not forget any project, or do not forget what you have done in that project. It would look like you have made up things if you will not be able to explain those things in your resume properly. Memorize it and you are good to go. Make sure you are punctual. Go there before 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Ask the receptionist when is your interview scheduled for. Sit there for some amount of time. Diverge inside the atmosphere and after that appear for the interview. It would be a very bad practice to keep your interviewer waiting. Do not do that in any case. Relax your nerves before the interview. Have a good night's sleep. Be relaxed. Be calm while appearing for the interviews. Do not be too haphazard or too tensed or too nervous. I've already told you that, because obviously this is not the last job. Yes, it is your dream job. Try your best, but be relaxed. Be calm. If it is for you, you will get the job. Do not worry. We are left with some more topics which we will cover in the next lecture. Until then, thank you so much for such patiently listening to me. This is your instructor Dhruvi Bhatt signing off. Until next time, bye-bye.